Hey everyone, George with the Art of Water. I want to talk to you today a little bit about some algae eaters in your tank that might be beneficial to you rather than just fish algae eaters. Now, of course, I'm talking about snails and I'm talking about shrimp, those kind. I never put snails in my tank because you just end up with an infestation of snails long term. So I don't really think that's the best idea. As you can see here, I do have some blue velvets in here. And they've been in here for a while. They were in here actually before I put the fish in because I wanted to make sure if I did have an algae bloom of any kind that it was under control rather quickly. So there's 4 of these little guys in here. And I actually thought I saw some babies in here the other day. I'm not sure if I was correct on that or not because I haven't seen them since. But I don't have a mixture. I only have the blue velvets, and I don't mix shrimp species together, because if you take a blue velvet and you take a cherry shrimp and you allow them to breed, what you end up with in your tank in the big picture is a brown shrimp, which is not very attractive. Now, they'll do the job. They'll get the algae in your tank under control, and they'll do a good job of that. But the bottom line is that just adding a few blue shrimp to your tank, or cherry shrimp, or shrimp of any kind that actually are algae eaters, you're going to find that they're really a great cleanup crew. Now, one of the problems I'm having, and I don't know why yet. I've got to do a little bit more research on this, talk to some people that might know. And if you guys might know, maybe you can put a comment below and subscribe at the same time, of course. But put a comment below and give me some ideas on what's going on here. But I have noticed that they are feasting on some of my carpet plants. Now, the red plants, they don't seem to bother those at all. Those are doing really well. But the green ones, and I'm trying to, I don't have the scientific name in front of me, but the small carpet plants, the green ones, they're really kind of shredding them. And I get up every morning and I check this particular tank. I have several tanks in the house, but I check this particular tank, and there's always leaves floating at the top where they've been cut around the edges. Now, I did notice one thing that might be a common theme here, and that is that the leaves that I am finding are leaves that have started to decay a little bit. So maybe they're feasting on those and they're just, cutting into them enough to where they float to the surface. Now, I don't see a lot of melting going on, but of course, that does happen. In some particular cases. I do have CO2 running in here, and most of the plants are extremely healthy. But I do know that some of the melting that has gone on is with these small carpet plants, as you can see right here. The lower levels of them started to melt. The top part's still in pretty good shape, but the lower level of the plant has disintegrated. And not very much concerned about that, because some of these ones in the front that aren't doing well, as you can see, the ones in the back are doing extremely well, so I'm not going to bother those. But the ones in the front here I will probably take out and replace with more of this particular kind of plant here, which also enhances the rocks that we have in here. And the amber tetras and the chili I can't talk. The chili Ramboris are doing very well. They're going to be pretty darn nice looking fish. These juvenile chiles are doing really good, but they're pretty juvenile at this point, and they're not showing a lot of color yet. But I like the colors of the amber tetras. They are, or ember tetras, excuse me. They're beautiful, and they all seem to be doing really well. The CO2, I dialed it up very slowly when I put them in the tank. I turned it off the first day that I put them in here. and then gradually, just gradually dialed it up a little bit. And I'm not going to dial it up much more than it is because it's only a small tank. It's only a 6.7 gallon, so it doesn't need a whole lot to make these plants thrive. I do turn it off in the evening. I do not allow CO2 to run at night. Some people do that. I think that's kind of ridiculous to do because CO2 only works when you have light that is working in concert with it. So I don't do that. Anyways, back to the shrimp. Anybody has any ideas on why the shrimp are doing that? If they're not getting enough food, I'm not sure what's going on, or if they're just sort of doing what's natural to them and feasting on the plant leaves that are decomposing a little bit after melting. Now that could be a possibility, and if it is, I don't have a problem with that at all. But I love having them in here, and they do take care of the algae, man. The leaves on all of these plants, I mean, they're algae free. The rocks are algae free. The wood is algae free. I do have to tell you that I still am doing about a 50% water change twice a week on this tank. And I just don't know when I'll stop doing that and drop it back a little bit, because I just feel it's so important that these water changes are done and the fish are given the best opportunity to have the best water parameters. When I check the parameters on these tanks, they're just absolutely right on. Did have a little problem, like I told you in a previous video, with the pH, running the CO2 in here, but have used a product by Chem that buffers that a little bit and helps get that pH, to the level that I want, right at 7.0, and the CO2 seems to be not causing any more problems with that at all. Anyway, if you want some great algae eaters, don't put snails in your tank. If you want to do that, that's fine. You're just going to end up with a bunch of snails in your tank that are going to be an infestation at some point. And snails will eat a lot of plants that people don't understand. That they will go after things besides algae. They'll go after your plants. So if you want good little algae eaters that are an amazing cleanup crew, shrimp are the way to go. These little blue velvets are perfect. I got them from a guy that's a local breeder, and they're just great little guys to run around your tank. I think they work 24/7. I'm not sure if they ever sleep. And they do a great job of keeping things really nice and clean in the tank, and that is what I wanted them for. So if you have any questions or comments, just leave them below. Subscribe also. And again, this is George with The Art of Water, and we'll talk again soon.